President Trump pushes new Tylenol pregnancy warnings. Jimmy Kimmel returns to ABC without an apology. And President Trump prepares to meet Arab leaders at the UN for Gaza talks. Plus, Amazon faces trial over Prime cancellations. A man is charged for a Marine One laser strike. And Spider-Man filming pauses after Tom Holland's concussion. And here's today's trivia. What do you study if you're a vexillologist? Well, I will tell you at the end of the show. It's Tuesday, September 23rd. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Happy Tuesday and welcome to the Flyover Podcast. I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown. Before we get to the headlines, a very big thank you. The Flyover had a record amount of views and listens yesterday on all of our platforms, especially YouTube. And guess what? We are just getting started. I have a few special YouTube shout-outs at the end of the show. All right, let's take off. President Trump announced that the FDA will add new warning labels to Tylenol, citing studies from Johns Hopkins, Yale, and Harvard that suggest a possible link between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and autism. He advised pregnant women to avoid the drug unless treating a high fever, though the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists maintains Tylenol is safe when used as directed. Standing alongside Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., other administration officials, and mothers of autistic children, Trump also said childhood vaccines should be spaced out over several years rather than given all at once. More information on the press conference can be found in the show notes below. Late-night host Jimmy Kimmel returns to ABC after a one-week suspension over comments about the killing of Charlie Kirk. On his September 15th show, Kimmel said, quote, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and with everything they can to score political points from it." Authorities have since said the accused shooter held left-wing views. Earning about $15 million a year, Kimmel reportedly negotiated his comeback directly with Disney executives and will address the controversy in his opening monologue. But he isn't expected to apologize. Sinclair Broadcast Group has demanded he apologize to Kirk's family and donate to Turning Point USA, while Nexstar Media Group also threatened to drop the show, leaving it unclear whether every affiliate will air tonight's episode. President Trump will meet today in New York with a group of Arab and Muslim leaders during the United Nations General Assembly to discuss ways to end the war in Gaza. Reports say Hamas is preparing a letter to Trump proposing a 60-day ceasefire in exchange for releasing half the hostages, a message expected later this week. The U.S. State Department has denied visas to several Palestinian officials, including Mahmoud Abbas, citing security concerns and effectively barring them from the gathering. Trump is also set to address the General Assembly on September 23rd, just days after key U.S. allies, including France, the U.K., Canada, and Australia formally recognized a Palestinian state, a move now supported by 142 of the UN's 193 member nations. Here are your top political headlines. The Supreme Court announced Monday it will review a key 1935 precedent that shields some federal agencies from direct White House control. If the justices overturn it, President Trump and future presidents could fire leaders of independent agencies like the Federal Reserve or the FTC at will, a shift that legal scholars say would greatly expand executive power. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security says it will not follow California's new law banning federal agents from wearing masks during enforcement operations. State officials argue the masks intimidate communities, but DHS says agents need face coverings to protect their identities and safety during raids. On Capitol Hill, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer is urging President Trump to sit down with Democrats to avoid a government shutdown as the September 30th funding deadline approaches. Trump told reporters he's open to a meeting but doubts it will have any impact, setting up another tense budget showdown. And overseas, the Taliban government has rejected President Trump's proposal to regain access to Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. The U.S. abandoned the sprawling airfield during the 2021 withdrawal, and security analysts say the refusal underscores how firmly the Taliban controls former U.S. installations. Here are some podcast extra stories. Amazon is going on trial in Seattle this week after the Federal Trade Commission sued the company over deceptive practices. Regulators say Amazon used sneaky website designs to get people to join Prime, and once they did, canceling meant going through a long, confusing process the company even nicknamed the Iliad Flow. That process took multiple pages and clicks, while signing up only took 2 clicks. Amazon denies the claim, saying Prime is popular because it's useful and people like it. The company has since added a simpler cancel button, but the FTC argues that change came way too late. A jury will now decide the case, which could affect how big tech handles subscriptions in the future. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Next, a man has been arrested after allegedly shining a laser pointer at Marine One while President Donald Trump was aboard the helicopter. Federal prosecutors charged the man with aiming a laser at an aircraft, a felony that carries up to 5 years in prison. While it's unclear if anyone on board noticed, authorities said the laser could have temporarily blinded the pilots and put Marine One at risk of a midair collision. And production on Spider-Man: Brand New Day has been paused for a week after Tom Holland suffered a mild concussion during a stunt gone wrong. Holland was taken to the hospital for evaluation, but not admitted, and filming is scheduled to resume next week. While the brief pause underscores the risks of stunt-heavy filmmaking, fans can rest assured the project remains on track for its summer 2026 debut. Still to come, Miami climbs to its highest football ranking in 2 decades. Machu Picchu faces a wonder downgrade, and we highlight your wildest wildlife moments. Don't go anywhere. And for everyone asking how I keep my skin fresh and glowing, even after long nights and early mornings, the answer is Nimi Skincare. Their gentle, powerful daily cleanser, Nimi Clean, is the foundation of my routine. It removes makeup, dirt, and oil without stripping, so my skin stays soft, hydrated, and bright. I follow it with Nimi's 3-step anti-aging routine: clean, treat, and moisturize. Clinically backed to restore the skin barrier, boost collagen, reduce fine lines, lock in moisture, and brighten for a healthy glow. Proudly American-made, Nimi rivals top international brands while staying true to values of faith, family, and freedom. Right now, Flyover listeners get 15% off with the code FLYOVER at checkout. Visit Nimi Skincare, that's Nimi skincare.com. Use the code FLYOVER and thank me later. All the information can be found in the show notes below. In finance, Michelob Ultra is now America's top-selling beer, overtaking Modelo Especial after a big push in sports sponsorships and marketing. Modelo had held the crown since it passed Bud Light back in 2023, but Nielsen data show Michelob sales have climbed steadily through 2025. In the rail industry, Pennsylvania-based Wabtec just inked a $4.2 billion deal with Kazakhstan to supply 300 locomotives and long-term service support. The agreement strengthens U.S.-Kazakh trade ties as the Central Asian country modernizes its freight network, which moves much of its oil and mineral exports. And gold prices keep smashing records, up more than 40% this year and now at their highest level since tracking began in the 1970s. Analysts point to the global inflation worries, central bank buying, and investors looking for safe havens as the drivers behind the metal's best annual gain since 1979. And we'll get to that in a second, but here's your stock market update. The Nasdaq climbed 0.70%, S&P 500 added 0.44%, and the Dow inched up 8.14%. In commodities, Bitcoin slipped 2.20% and gold spiked 3% to $3,781 per ounce. Big mover of the day, Meta Incorporated surged 60.8% to $53.58 after Pfizer announced plans to acquire the drug developer in a deal worth up to $7.3 billion. In sports, the Miami Hurricanes are on the rise. They've jumped to number 2 in the latest AP poll after beating the Florida Gators. That's their highest ranking since 2002, while Illinois took a hard fall, dropping 14 spots to number 23 after a lopsided 53-point loss to Indiana. See the full, now new poll in the show notes below. Meanwhile, the LA Dodgers just joined an elite group, drawing over 4 million fans to home games this season. That puts them among only 10 teams in MLB history to hit that milestone. The last to do it were the Mets and the Yankees back in 2008. But not all the news was celebratory. The ACC fined Syracuse $25,000 after accusing players of faking injuries during their win over Clemson. League officials said that at least one moment was a clear attempt to stop the game and grab an extra timeout. Did you watch it? And in college basketball, Auburn coach Bruce Pearl is calling it a career after 11 seasons with the Tigers. His retirement has fueled speculation that he may pivot to politics, possibly running for U.S. Senate in Alabama as Senator Tommy Tuberville prepares to leave his seat. In science and technology, NASA just introduced its newest astronaut class. 10 candidates chosen from over 8,000 applicants. 6 women and 4 men made the cut, and officials say at least one of them could eventually be part of the first crewed mission to Mars, which NASA hopes to launch in the 2030s. Meanwhile, in Europe, the European Space Agency unveiled an incredible 3D map plotting the precise locations and movements of 44 million stars across our Milky Way. The data come from the now retired Gaia Space Telescope, whose decade of observations is already helping scientists refine estimates of the galaxy's age and shape. Here are some shorter headlines that we thought you should know about today. Machu Picchu could lose its spot as one of the new 7 wonders of the world, with officials warning that mismanagement, overcrowding, and political unrest are putting the site's status at risk. Overnight in California, a 4.3 magnitude earthquake rattled the Bay Area just before 3 a.m., waking thousands around Berkeley but causing no major damage or injuries. College football fans in Colorado got a treat when the University of Colorado introduced Ralphie 7, a 1-year-old, 700-pound buffalo who's now the school's live mascot during Saturday's game against Wyoming. See a video of the big boy in today's show notes. Outdoor gear brand Arc'teryx is taking heat after a dragon-shaped fireworks display in Tibet's Himalayas sparked criticism over potential harm to the fragile mountain environment. And finally, Russia is reviving the old Soviet-era Intervision Song Contest in Moscow after being banned from Eurovision. Performers from 22 friendly countries are competing, though U.S. contestant Brandon Howard dropped out at the last minute. Here are the results of yesterday's poll question. Have you had a memorable close encounter with wildlife? 56% said no, and 44% said yes. Huge thanks to everyone who shared their unforgettable wildlife encounters on our YouTube page. One of you had a heart-pounding moment when a silverback mountain gorilla brushed past on a Rwanda trek, close enough to see those massive hands and smell the wild forest on him. Another spotted a mama deer with 2 rare white fawns grazing on military land in upstate New York. We also heard about an adrenaline-filled swim with an 8-foot hammerhead shark off Oahu, and sightings of mountain sheep in Oregon and manta rays in Hawaii. Your stories are incredible. Keep them coming. I love reading every single one. All right, are you ready for the poll question for today? I thought so. Here it is. Do you currently have Amazon Prime? at least the membership. Here it is. Yes, no, or what's Amazon Prime? I have Amazon Prime and I hate that I pay for it every month, but it is definitely convenient, especially when it comes to buying children's things, wipes and bottle washers, like the whole thing. It's really nice when you need something last minute. So I guess I'm going to keep paying for it. I'll read the answers in tomorrow's show. Vote in the show notes below. Here's the trivia question, and it is a tongue twister. What do you study if you're a vexillologist? The answer, vexillology is the scientific study of everything to do with flags, their history, symbolism, and usage worldwide across the centuries. The North American Vexillological Association, the world's largest organization of flag enthusiasts and scholars, has over 1,000 members in the U.S., Canada, and over 30 other countries. That is it for today's flyover. I hope you learned something today and that you spend today making someone else's day a little bit brighter. I'm going to a grand opening of my favorite local thrift store this afternoon and bringing my kiddos to swimming lessons. So that's how I'm going to be spending my day. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. Those things go such a long way. And let me just say it one more time. We are just getting started here at the Flyover Podcast. See you tomorrow. Thanks for flying with us.